Hey everybody, my name is Aaron Shane. Welcome to Habitat Now. I'd like to welcome you to our award winners from the first year or second year of NGG. John Moran was the winner of the first year and second year, and we're honored to have him for his third presentation for NGG, which we're going to be celebrating the release of a new edition, which will be hosted on our website and John's website as well, talking about a very important topic we're seeing in the news today. There's so many things that are we see on the news that are touching our lives and our hearts, and it's hard to pick and choose, but there's such a great opportunity to art to focus, to bring attention to what we all need to pay attention to. So John, thanks for joining me today. It's an honor to have you. I'm going to start by taking over your screens with my robot here, if I can remember how to do that. Where is my share screen button? It's not popping up anywhere. Give me a second to do it again. Let's see if I can get to pop. There it is. I had to click out, click back in. All right, so first and foremost, I just want to put up a little bit. We're picking up more consignment here at Habitat Galleries. If you're looking to offer your collection to the secondary market, contact us. We'll talk to you. Our process is very simple. So kicking in, we do these Zooms every single Saturday. So we're kicking into some more coming up the rest of this month and then into next month and maybe into next year. So we really enjoy doing these, reaching out to those who really care about glass. It's a lot of fun. Feel free to throw your topics to me too if you have any ideas. The glass tour is already getting filled for 2024. If you're looking to go to Europe on a cruise ship and visit studios and artists and museums and have a great time, let me know. I'll connect you with Sue and Alwine or Ferdinand Hampson. They're putting the list together now. It looks like an amazing trip. They're going to Venice, I believe, and the Czech Republic. It's going to be spectacular. We have 4 days left on the Marvin Lepofsky offering. So if you saw any of the works that we were selling from Marvin Lepofsky, please contact me, because as of the 15th, we have to change the pricing. So if you ever wanted a Marvin Lepofsky piece, this is the time. And then on the 18th, next Saturday, we have our masquerade event. Wear your mask, come and see us. We're going to be celebrating Susan Taylor Glasgow's show, Let's Fall in Love. She's going to be there. There's going to be a model there in one of her glass dresses. It's going to be fantastic. It's the place to be. And then obviously we're gearing up for Glass Coast Weekend down in Sarasota. Corey's going to be down during the Miami shows, the Scope show, so make sure to go visit him there. But plan to also be at our Glass Coast Weekend. The plan is coming together, working with Jane Buckman from the last director at the Magic Museum, working with the Ringling College of Art and Design, the Ringling Museum, the Sarasota Art Museum, and so many more places. It's in the Magic Museum. It's going to be a lot of fun. On top of the 5 exhibitions we have planned, it's going to be spectacular. So this is our NGG, our third year, 2023. And I'm so honored to have John join me. He was an incredible part of our family, coming up, working with this idea and growing. He was on the last season of Blown Away. It was spectacular to see him get such great attention around the world. And we're going to dive into his world today and learn a little bit about his year and learn a little bit about this offering he's going to be doing. So thanks, John, for joining me. I'd love for you to say hello to everybody as I stop sharing my screen.
Thanks for having me. I want to say hi to everybody, and thanks for coming to see what's been going on. Got kind of I was here. I think I did it last year, NGG talk as well, and then just after Blown Away came out, and this is kind of an update of what the last year has been, and then I'll lead into the piece we have for the release today. So can I take over the?
Absolutely, give it a whirl. Take over the screen.
Right.
John and I have been in contact about who's going to be participating in next year's NGG as well. It's been a lot of fun looking at the new talent coming out in the world and people who are creating their own style and idiom. And I think will be an important part of the future of glass and mixed media. Most of these artists do mixed media work, which is a very important part of NGG because it's getting across that idea through material versus, solely glass. And they're incorporating glass, which is great for us because we love glass so much. It's the most impressive medium out there, in my opinion.
Just can you see the slides or no?
You can. You're not in full screen mode.
What's that?
You got to get into a full screen mode. It looks like. Is there like a button to get in full screen mode? If not, you can just go.
This?
There. That's it. You're in. You're in like
All
flood.
right. So last year, basically shortly after competing in Blown Away, we had the year before the show came out, and I made friends with John Sharvin and Minhee Sue England, and we did an exhibition together at the Pittsburgh Glass Center called Undefined. Basically, the show was about where we were at in our lives right now and not sure it was going to happen. So this is John Charvin's work. He makes a lot of work about planetary systems and these miniatures, which I really love, which is something I really wanted to show in the thing. But we basically designed this show to be like 3 of our different worlds. Even though it was one exhibition, it was like 3 installations. So you started kind of outside, which was John's world, moved inside through this kind of doorway and through his miniature planets and pieces, and into Minhee's world. Minhee, England, was the runner-up in season 3, and basically she had done an entire series about reflection and looking inward for her own self, and she lost her husband just previous to the filming of season 3, so she made some work about that as well. This piece is, for me, it was a very powerful piece. It shows the like emptiness that she sometimes has, the side of the work that where she lives, which is with the slippers and with the kind of mess around it, and then the other side, which is completely empty and pristine. And it's really talking about life and death and talking about her missing of her husband. So it was a really powerful piece. But she basically used this space to kind of create a world of her work and kind of give insight into what she's thinking about. There's a little detail of the slippers, which I think were her husband's slippers, and he passed away of cancer. And shortly before passing away, they removed one of his feet. So I think this kind of a very symbolic piece, very symbolic element of the sculpture. But you move from kind of Minhee's indoor sculpture to my work, which was then kind of an outdoor, which was piece, but more of a dreamscape. This was actually like a running fountain. So this piece is called Yearning to Breathe. And I've been making a lot of work recently about this idea, which is the kind of like perception of reality. I'm an expat living in Belgium, and a lot of the times I struggle with life here as an American living abroad. And there's all these beautiful things about living in Europe, but then there's all these struggles with it. And I think about that for people who like go through immigration without necessarily, like, I did it because I wanted to, but people that do it because they're forced to, and how much of a struggle that is. But basically this piece is about is showing this kind of dream. It's about this fantasy land, and there's this river running through the sculpture, and one of the elements of this is this paper boat that has like a poem written by an immigrant kid on the paper boat. So it was kind of a connecting back to the figure. It's meant to be a little bit of like almost like a nostalgic piece about childhood, but then you're linked to your past. So you have this teddy bear here that's very much an element of nostalgia, but then it's chained, and this heavy chain links to the boat. So it's something that kind of is something that brings you forward, but also something that holds you back. It's a little detail of that. The sculpture itself is based on a little girl who immigrated to the US from China. Somebody contacted me with her story, and I used her as the kind of example for the piece, because it's somewhat, the piece is somewhat like a self-portrait in a lot of ways, but also I like to use other elements, so I'm not just recreating myself all the time. One of the things I really enjoyed about this piece was the running water. So when you left Minhee's kind of indoor world, you came into a space where there was a sound, which was a trickling stream, and then these little elements of life within it. But I put together some images too, just to show the pieces with people in them, because I think it's really nice to see how art is when it's interacted with, not only just in the clean shots, but how people then see it. This is me, John, and Minhee giving a little talk about our work for the show, and giving an explanation of what was going on. And then the crowd that came for the Glass Center. It was one of the bigger shows they had done, I think, and really filled out for people coming. Like, for us, it was a great experience. It was the first thing we had really done together, and the show had just recently come out before doing this. So it was nice to have all the people come, and we had a chance to really talk to a lot of people and have a very good time with the exhibition, but also with the crowd interacting with the pieces. This is just, sorry, I really love this picture of seeing.
I love how the wall behind it also is modified.
Yeah,
That's
so we
really
put
neat.
the walls in place for the sculpture as well. So yeah, there's elements there's like broken elements all through the room. Just another image of the reaction. But as you know, I was the season 3 winner of Blown Away, and one of the parts of the prize package is residency at Corning. So I have some photos from the residency. I did this residency in April, and basically you get to have the amphitheater for 5 days. For a lot of people, 5 days is a lot of time. For me, it's a very short amount of time to make work. So I ended up making 2 pieces while I was at Corning, basically. I spent about 2 days on this piece, which is called I have even small things. Even small changes are pretty. I can't remember the whole title. But this piece is on display at Habitat right now. So this piece took me basically 3 days of the residency, making all the flowers, really sculpting the hand, putting this together. And it's quite large for even though it's not a giant piece, the way we were working on it was quite large to fit into the glory hole. But it was a solid couple of days of the residency. So it was intimidating for me to go into a residency like this, knowing it's a big part of the prize, and then put together basically 2 pieces. But it was a really great experience to work with the team at Corning and to kind of have a chance to show off some of the sculpting that I do, which is the more figurative work that I don't do very often, just because it's so time consuming and not always something that people it's not something I would always do for a demonstration. But it was really nice to do this at Corning because people were coming when I was working on the parts and then coming back the next day to see the pieces moving on. But here you can see some of the detail I put in the hands, the veins, the kind of the texture and the coloring. It's really important to make sure that the pieces are very lifelike and very realistic for me. And this, just to go back to this piece a little bit, what this piece is kind of in reference to is like the reversal of the Daphne, like the sculptures and story of Daphne, where Daphne was turned into a tree for trying to escape Apollo. So this is kind of a rebirth from the tree rather than the vice versa. And the title is Even Small Changes Are Pretty Evolutionary. That was could not remember that a minute ago. But doing this Corning residency was a great experience, and it was really nice to be able to kind of connect with the whole Corning team, but also the people that came out for it. It's one of I would say it was probably the biggest benefit of doing this residency was I got to meet hundreds of people who had seen the show and were fans. And as an artist, that's always really nice to have that kind of support and to have that interaction with people who love to see what you're doing. The final piece that I did make was this piece of the Bear Essential series, which a lot of these pieces are on display at Habitat as well. This piece is still in a box. I have to cold work it. It has not arrived yet from Corning, but it's one of my favorites. It should be a good one. It's kind of it takes a lot of the elements from some of the work that I've been doing outside of just the bears, but bringing them together, like these flowers and the growth elements. It's something that I do a lot. I deal with a lot of my work is mortality and issues that kind of touch on life and death, very existential issues and or existential kind of concepts. And I like to make them somewhat playful and bring this kind of idea of nostalgia into the concept of life and death and our kind of humanity of existence. So because this year was very busy, I was really traveling a lot. And I wanted to just show some of the different places that I've been and tell a little bit about what I've been up to. And I also joined the board of the Glass Art Society in September of 2022. So it was my first conference in Detroit this year. And one of the things I got to do was actually do a demonstration for the collector's tour for gas. Very coincidentally, I had really not met Raven so much before. I had met him one time in passing, but never had a chance to hang out with him. And about an hour before the demonstration, we decided to do a collaboration. So we really hit it off. We were also showing across the street together at Habitat. John Minhee and John Sharp and Minhee and I had an exhibition up, and Raven and Kelly had an exhibition next door as part of the international, which was really incredible to have those pieces come together, but also to get to hang out with Raven was very nice. You can see John Sharpen in the background there. But basically, we decided to make
That's Raven Sky River for those who don't know his last name.
Oh yeah, sorry, Raven Sky. Yes. We decided to kind of make a skull, one of my Mickey Mori skulls, with a Raven would sculpt a minnow that would go in the mouth. We kind of put the whole piece together. Raven had spent some time making this very delicate and very realistic fish that we were discussing how we were going to do everything. We put it in the mouth, had the piece ready, and then dropped it on the floor. So it was our first experience of that. It's not something that happens to me very often, so it was quite a surprise when it happened. But it was a lot of fun to work with Raven and to have a chance to kind of talk over, somebody I've been a fan of for years, seeing his work and his abilities, and then to have a chance to just kind of hang out and work together was really nice. It was a close up right before we smashed it on the ground.
Thank God for photos, right?
Yeah, exactly. But this trip, throughout the kind of first part of the year, I was really outside of Europe the whole time. I was in the United States for about four or 5 months, I think, off and on, but I hadn't really been back in Europe. But on the gas board, one of the things I've started is I've worked with Brandy Clark to start an international committee, because I've been connected to a lot of studios in Europe here. And one of the things that I find in Europe is there's not the big glass community like there is in the US, mainly because there's like every community has its own people. So you have like the Czech glass community, the Italian community, the German community, but there's not a lot of crossover. And with the international committee, one of the things I'm trying to do with the people on the committee is to kind of unite more of the European glass scene. And one of the people that I've worked with before this as well, but through this, was Andrew Novotny. And he started doing these monthly demonstrations at his studio and invited me out in August to do, it was a very hot day, as you can see, in August, to do a demonstration at Novotny Glass, which is the kind of original, I think, Aieto, part of the Aieto factory that was started by Peter Novotny, which a lot of the equipment, I guess, was I thought it was a myth. It was very interesting to be there and learn this, that Peter actually did start his glass studio in his living room during the communistic period, and then expanded and now has basically built an empire in Novibor. But it was really great to do this demonstration. A lot of the local glass blowers actually came out, which was really cool, because Andre was saying that wasn't something that was happening often. They did a lot of public, but not the glass blowers coming out. But basically, I wanted to make a piece for their museum and something for the collection that would talk about my experience in Novibor. One of the things that the Czech glassblowers are known for is the mold blowing and mold carving. So I basically, and beer, obviously, but I wanted to showcase some of the elements of Novibor, and like not only my what I know about it, but also like my connection to it. So I was out at Andre's studio in 2015 for the first time, and then I was back again this year. So it had been this 8-year period in between. And one of the things I remember is seeing them blow these molds in an expert way, and it's something that I don't think I really had considered so much, like how much technique there is in that. So I wanted to showcase by making this blow mold, and then it would have one of my skulls on top, and it would kind of create like a still life. So here I am creating the skull. And then there would be these other additional elements, which were wild mushrooms. Because the first time that I was in Novibor was the first time I ever had wild mushrooms. So basically, I built these mushrooms into the mold, which is coming up here. And there's 8 separate mushrooms for the 8 years in between my visits to Novibor. So the idea is supposed to look like a mushroom tree basically growing out of the mold. There's this skull that says made in Novibor on the mouth. And the final element was one of the historic glasses that actually Andra made for me. It was the glass that they make. It's a recreation for that they make as part of their production line. And we use this as a stacked element on top. So it's supposed to be kind of a totem of my relationship to the Czech Republic. And tell a little story about the trip there, but also about the community. One of the coolest things about this for me was that I really worked with Andra, Hansa Pachnek, Marek Efmet. Like a lot of the Czech glassblowers were involved in this piece coming together, including myself and Marta Berdziak, my partner, and we basically worked as a community to make this piece, which was very fun. So here's Andra taking the piece away, and his very serious face. There was a little video. This is also Yuri Pachnik, who I met on this trip and had a chance to work with as well. If you don't know Yuri Pachnik's work, he was the glass maker that made all the glass for the Glass Onion, Knives Out the Glass Onion, and they have an incredible studio as well, just outside of Novibor in Lindova. Very amazing to go visit if you have the chance.
That's a lot of work he made for that show. Watch it all disappear. A lot of work he made for that show. Watch it all disappear.
Yeah, he remade it as well. When I was out there, they did a big opening and they smashed pieces again for the opening.
That's a great idea. What a hell of an experience.
But they put together this little video for the show, and I just wanted to show it because it shows a lot of the atmosphere and a lot of the feeling of the demonstration and the community.
Yeah, feel free. It doesn't have any sound on our end, but we can watch it. Looks like working hard. Like it. How long does it take you to get used to a new facility when you step into one, John? Oh, John can't hear me. We'll have to share this video outside this talk so we can hear the audio. Great to see this piece come together, though. They don't show the run back to the glory hole enough when they do these demonstrations. I feel like they're always in the glory hole more than sculpting the glass. It looks like the piece is coming together. I wonder if this is probably on display there. I'll have to ask John if it made it and if it's up on display in the facility of the museum you mentioned. Congratulations. Oh, it is. Made it. Look at that. Very nice.
Yeah, it was a really nice experience, and it's a really very vibrant community there. And there's a lot of talk in Europe right now about the death of glass as a craft, and I think it's one of the places that's really building, really keeping it alive, and really making a lot of the they're really jumping forward with things and trying to be can't think of the word, but they're as more entrepreneurial and making changes and making every adaptation they can and doing everything they can to kind of keep the material and the community alive, which is really, really important and really nice to see. And it really made a lot of waves. When I was out there in 2015, it was a completely different place than it is now. And it's an amazing thing to go to if you can get out there for the Habitat tour. It's really great places to check out. Shortly after coming back from the Czech Republic, this is about 2 weeks ago, I took a trip out to Farnham in the United Kingdom, actually with Elliot Walker, who's the winner of season 2 from Blown Away. So one of the nice things about the kind of community is that we all do kind of hang out together. I've gotten to know Elliot quite well. We've done quite a few things together since season 3 had come out. And it was fun to go out. We worked with the students at Farnham. We did a small, a demonstration for the town as part of Farnham Craft Week. Farnham is actually one of the UNESCO designated craft towns. So it's somewhere where they work very hard to keep these crafts alive in ceramics and glass. And Laura Quinn, who's pictured here, she's the person that kind of headed up this entire project. She's been teaching at Farnham, UCA Farnham, for about 2 years. And she's an Irish glass artist working in the UK. But it was really an amazing event she put together. She spent about 1.5 years building this to make sure we had the funding, that we were paid properly, that we were taken care of while we were out there. And it was really a very nice experience to go out there and work together. There's Elliot judging me for something I'm doing. It's very judgmental. But yeah, each of us did a demonstration and made some work for this group, which was very, very, very nice to do. So it was a very small group, but they did a live stream for the demonstrations that was, I guess, very well attended. It's one of the things they've put together in the past is a big live stream for their demonstrations. And here's Elliot explaining something I'm doing because Laura had to do something else. So just I enjoy seeing some of the photos of us kind of interacting. But from this point, the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've been back here in Ghent working and kind of refabbing the studio. And I don't think it's something I've ever really showed in NGG is the studio I built up here in Ghent. It's called Ghent Glass. It works as a public studio, so we do demonstrations and events, but it's also where I make my work with Marta Berdziak and another artist, resident artist here. But you can get an idea of the scale of the studio. We have a little showroom there. We have a small bar set up so people come in and when we do an event, hang out at the bar. We actually have an event planned for December 1st and December 2nd when Elliot Walker, John Sharvin, and Minhee England will come out and join me to do demonstrations at the studio. It'll be it'll our 8-year anniversary of the studio. So something that's quite nice to showcase what we've built in Ghent. There was no glass community here before I started the studio, and it's something that's been growing since it was built there. This is my sidekick and mascot, Kaiser. He's in a lot of photos, and he's probably the most photographed item in the studio. But if you're ever coming out into Belgium and you pass through again, please stop by and check out what we have going on. There's a very nice studio there. We've set up and put a lot of effort into making it a warm and welcoming place and a really nice place to work. But this leads me to the piece that I've created for the Not Grandma's Glass exhibition and a limited edition series that's called Armed for Knowledge. One of the things I think we've been seeing in the media and we know about is there's been a lot of massive school shootings in the past, I don't know, since the 90s, 1998, when I can first remember hearing about it and feeling it. And I was in high school then, and it didn't seem like it was something that would become like an epidemic as it has. And it's something that like shocked me that I've like now in my 40s gone back into the US and talked to my cousins' kids who are 16 and 17. And they very like regularly have active shooter drills in schools and things that I can't like imagine when I was a teenager. We had to do fire drills, not active shooter drills, but for them it's so second nature now. But one of the other things that's really struck me was that teachers are kind of expected to purchase like firearms or purchase things to protect the classroom. It seems like it's much outside of the realm of what a teacher's duty are. So I wanted to use this element of the apple. It's for me the symbol of like giving an apple to the teacher. It's a symbol of, it's something I always related to teachers, but it has this little bullet wound in it, or this bullet wound. So it's kind of creates a powerful symbol. And this reflected imagery or this reflected mirror is that when you hold the apple, you see yourself in it, but it also shows you everything around it. So it's something that is talking about the repetition of what's happening, that it's not a one-off. It's not something we can ignore anymore. I think it's something we should really take a stand against as artists, as humans, as people. And part of this series, part of the point of the series is to be able to donate a portion of the proceeds to an organization I found called DonorsChoose.org, which is basically set up for teachers to fund projects in their classrooms, sometimes ranging from $25 up to $2,500. The last year I did a run of these as well, and I was able to donate around $4,000 to Donors Choose for different classrooms to set up some. I'm focusing mainly on the arts in the classroom, so it's been something I've been able to help support, and that's one of the things I really think is important with the works that I'm creating is not only to not only be critical about what's happening, but to find a way to make things better and to find a way to make things positive. And that's what I really am aiming to do with the series. And I'm really happy to work with Aaron on this and to work with Habitat to put together this limited edition that will hopefully go to support more classrooms in the long run, but also bring attention to this problem that we have in the US. And that more or less does it for my talk. But I would be happy to answer any questions and to talk about this piece more if there's anything you'd like to discuss. I'd be more than happy to talk a little bit more.
Well, thanks, John. We'll go ahead and stop sharing your screen. I'm
Hmm.
going to show everybody where the limited stuff is on our website, but you're always welcome to email me to get one of the editions. They come right from John with a certificate of authenticity, and it's a very cool presentation from a sealed envelope that accompanies this piece that could fit almost anywhere in your collection. John, I'll help you stop sharing if I can figure out how to do it. There we go. Worry not. So on I'm gonna click over here to my computer real quick. So two things. One is let's go to the Habatat page. If you're on Habatat.com, which will take a second to load because it always does. There's a little hamburger over here. If you click that, it's loading up right now. The hamburger, and you go down to the limiteds right there, which I'm gonna probably change to the word shop. You can see the piece here to purchase, so in case you want to acquire one later. And you click on contact. They're priced at $900 each plus shipping, along with the $50. It includes the $50 donation that John was talking about as well. And then all the NGG presentations are on notgrandmasglass.com from the previous years, which are up here in the archives for 2021 and 2022. And we're almost at the end of 2023, which is pretty spectacular. And if you haven't seen any of these presentations by these incredibly talented artists, you're going to hear about them anyway, because they're all a force for the future of the glass arts, and each one is going to be making waves. So we're giving you basically a heads up of who you should be paying attention to and acquiring right now as their career blossoms. And John's been part of this since the beginning, and I'm grateful for that. So John, it's an honor to have you to join me today. Thank you for joining us. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to contact us. We can also connect you with John personally. The apple, the size of the apple is, let me find the size. What is the size, John? Like 9 or 6?
I have one here.
You?
1 second. Put one aside.
Thank you. I have one as well, but I wrote it down, but our website's in the fritz. I'm trying to figure out how to put the content right here. I think they're like, what did you say, about maybe 5 or 6 inch, 4 or 6 inches tall?
They are
Probably are.
an apple, and each one has a slightly different form, different shape. And then they're signed. This edition is signed on the bottom and has NGG, the edition numbers on the piece.
So they're real apple size, in other words. So if you could put them with your apples. Let me see what I have here. Yeah, John has the sizing on his website, so let me pull it up too, so we can see it. Share the screen. Apologize for the. Oh, did you post it? Yeah, it is right there on your site, NGG. How come I share my screen? Boop. So right here, you can see the edition is 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters. Do a little calculation for us Americans.
Yeah, 4 inches roughly.
Yeah, about 4 inches.
4 inches or 5 inches.
Of course, it doesn't work quick enough. 4 to 5 inches, but they vary because each one's uniquely made, and it talks about the piece and shows the pictures of it right there on the site. So thank you, John, for doing that. This is great. We have one in the gallery too if you want to come see him. John's holding up the paperwork that comes with it, a beautiful embroidered envelope that comes sealed with your certificate inside, which is great.
And there's some extras that come along with it. So there's signed photographs that go with it, small glass medallions, and then the certificate. So there's little elements that go along with it, and a sticker pack. So there's some extras in the collection. Yeah,
and they come directly from John, so it's a personal touch. Question for you: where are you off to next? I know you're going somewhere fun.
Go to Ireland with Minhee. Actually, we're doing 1 week in Ireland as the part of the Irish Design Week. We'll be in Kilkenny most of the time, but also I think a day in Cork, a day in Dublin, and a day in Galway. And then I'm back here for about a week before everybody shows up again in Belgium. So they come on the 30th. So we have the 29th, I guess the 29th, and then the 1st and the 2nd we have our event. So it'll be a busy little time.
Yeah, I'm glad to see you still working. He was in the studio all day making new work. So John's still pushing into the future and creating work for future exhibitions. So If you need help contacting him, contact me. I'd love to connect people to John. He's a great guy and an incredible, talented artist, and honored to have him in our Habitat family. Thank you all for joining me today. This will be posted on YouTube, so like, subscribe, hit that bell, and share and join us every single Saturday for more of these Habatat-Zooms. And we'll be continuing NGG in through December, and then next year's choices have been made already. So we'll see who wins for 2023. I'm excited. Take care, everybody. I'm going to stop recording, and we'll see you all next time.